Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Gachiakuta, Season 1.
I got Gachiakuta, Season 1, Episode 16. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. And I just did this. But because I didn't hit stop on the MHA recording, that ended up on the end of the previous one. And I don't feel like dealing with that editing, so I'm re-recording this. Because we didn't really say a whole heck of a lot. There's a bunch of stuff going on with each one of the fights. Rudo's still being held hostage by via conversation by the boss. We'll have to see if he utilizes Amo's boots. What could potentially come of using 2 series items, what that could potentially do. We don't know what the boss's power is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we know he has the coat, but we don't know what the coat does.
Yeah, so that's stuff on the table. All the other fights going on are on the table. Engine's probably in the most interesting situation because he's just poking that guy. See what's up with him. The hard counters between hair and scissors and electricity, that kind of deal. What's up with the Team Child, that kind of deal. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. Jabber has his true form going on as well. But again, we might not see that fight with Zonka immediately because they might bounce over to something else, because in any of these kinds of situations where there are multiple things going on at once, they're all going on at the same time. It's not just, okay, Jabber's fight happened and they were just standing around waiting for, you know what I mean? It's all happening at the same time.
Yeah. We also have Junta, or whatever her name is, wandering around, potentially going to stumble into Kathani.
Yeah. So, lots of stuff going on. We'll just have to see what we get this episode and then talk about it. So, we're going to push some buttons and get going here. So, people on Patreon, we'll see you on the other side of the edit for the timer stuff. And people on YouTube, we'll see you on the other side for the discussion and review. So, here goes some. Well, alrighty then. There you have it. Questions were sort of answered. Yes. Something that might be overlooked by a lot of people, but even the most mundane questions about someone can tell you a lot about somebody's personality and what their deal is, even as mundane as the questions that Bundus was asking Bro about the cleaner leader guy, which I believe they threw his name out there, but I forget it because names.
Arca Corvus.
Yeah, Corvus. So
Arca is his first name in the Corvus.
So yeah, I mean, this was definitely interesting. We got another hand and finger guy. We just had, All for One die this week, so... Or, he didn't die. He reversed out of existence. Those are 2 different things. And, well, we had Zonka parrying with his teeth. Bakugo parried with his teeth. This kind of crap keeps happening to us. It's maddening. I almost want to get a compilation video together of all the times this has happened, because it's not just like twice. This is like the 9th time this has happened. It's out of control.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird when you see stuff like that. But yeah, so we got a little bit on this guy's character, a tiny bit that you could probably infer about his vital instrument and power that it has, that kind of thing. So there's some definite speculation going on with this guy. I mean, you had the classic face. You had a lot of classic faces and classic not faces in this one. So with Deer making the very specific face that Bro mentions, that there was that one very specific thing, but then the I'm so over it, yeah, that's a face that I can believe. But the first one, that one was a little too specific. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was one of those, is there a face for that? That's, that was like with Peacemaker this season, where it's like, well, how do you know that, if you wave at that guy, it doesn't mean, you want his firstborn to die or something? Like, yeah, it can't be that specific. A hand gesture can't mean that, right? So it's always kind of interesting when you see stuff like that going on. But another thing that kind of came out of this episode was with like Kathani able to use her portals as kind of like surveillance, which she's probably not opening them all the way, so they're like not as noticeable, and she can just kind of get like audio and visual, and she was taking notes. but it did look like she was being taxed, opening multiple portals to different places in rapid succession. So that's something to keep an eye out on. She probably can't just open, portal to portal over and over and over and over again, like the guys from Portal and their portal guns.
Yeah, she seemed like it was, taking effort on her part to keep opening the portals. She was also freaking questioning the fact that Bundus told them about the
Crash Beast thing.
Yeah, which means it most likely is definitely them that was the one who were the ones who implanted the broken vital instrument.
Yep.
In the Trash Beast.
Right.
Also, with the way we keep framing it like this, Junta probably is spying on her.
Yeah. Because
the last thing we saw of Junta was her going into these pipes.
Yeah. So she's probably sneaking around doing the thing because there was nobody to match her up with. They were out of mans on both sides. So it'll be interesting to see what she does creeping around there.
Yeah, they were already at a numbers disadvantage because of they only had one person for all of Team Child.
Yep. So it was definitely an interesting episode across the board. We'll get to the Jabber and Zonka stuff here in a minute, but the whole discussion between Rudo and their leader, who's once again names. I know he gave his name, and it was another mythological beast.
Zodal.
Yeah, Zodal.
Zodal Typhon.
Yeah, was Typhon. So yeah, that was what it was. But you can tell a lot about a villainous character by the vocabulary they use. Take Frieza, for example. His vocabulary was profoundly extravagant and all over the board. There were some words I learned because of Frieza. That's saying something. You know what I mean? And this guy did up his vocabulary game with some of the adjectives he was using in speech of his. So, this guy might be more terrifying than people might be putting on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if he's, big bad of the series material necessarily. I still think that's probably going to be whoever the angel is. But, or whoever, the creator of the series items.
Yeah.
But he's definitely gonna be a pretty big deal, at least for a while.
Right. So it will be interesting to see how they resolve this situation with his whole shock to the system speech. That was a pretty big deal. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to, while he and Rudo do have goals that are similar, obviously he wants to do something different. You know what I mean? You both might want to punch somebody in the face, but it's how you go about punching the person in the face that matters.
Yeah, Rudo is pissed off at the sphere, and he wants to upend the whole friggin' dystopia shenanigans. But Zodal here wants to literally full terrorist just nuke the entire sphere out of the sky.
Yep. Which, again, and I know this is pseudo, tertiary and really doesn't matter. You could just hand wave it as magic. I still want to know where they're getting all their freaking material. Okay? Because the sphere, while a large place, just as large as how shit the Crunchyroll player is, still, you know what I mean? They would have to run out of material at some point as a floating city. Okay? So there has to be something going on, and I really hope it's explained just as a random side, cliff note thing. You know what I mean? It's oh yeah, there's some person that's out there like Yairozu that just makes raw material and we shape it and stuff. I don't care what it is. I just want an answer. It could be the stupidest answer ever. I just want an answer.
Yeah, I don't know anything really about the sphere itself or how it functions, but I said...
It can be the Slurm Queen. You know what I mean? Stupid nonsense like that. I don't care how dumb it is. I just want it.
like I said, I know the barrier itself is at least supernatural in nature, but I don't know about the sphere.
Right. So that's just kind of one of those things that I like answer. But we're in season 1. We don't need to worry about that right now. That's just something for later. At some point, I want it answered. It'd be cool.
Even with this being 2 core, we're still probably only going to get through like 30% of the source material.
Yeah. So, either way, we did get a little more context into his personality and how he feels about. He kind of went full. Where's the last character that? Maybe not the last character, but I do know that in Forrest Gump, when him and Bubba show up for the first time and they salute Lieutenant Dan. It's just like, yeah, don't salute me. That paints me as the leader. You know what I mean? That's kind of the thing that he went here. And it's just like, don't call me boss. People don't need to know that in here. It's like, but you're in your own base with, you're not in a war zone. So why exactly? You know what I mean?
He comes off as like, he's the boss because he's the one who started it. But he doesn't actually really take much of a leadership position. It seems like Sebiu is the one who actually really runs everything.
Yeah, I suppose. Maybe that's what he was getting at. Like, don't call me that. This is just my house and you guys are here and stuff. And yeah. You know. Not even, what do you even call that? Like there's a term for that kind of leader and I forget what it is. Damn.
I don't know.
Anyway, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. We did get a little bit potentially on something to do with his ability with the whole like tattoo on the back of his neck, like just kind of looking up at Samiyu when she walked in.
Yeah,
but that was about it. And I guess he likes sweet things, so that's definitely not coffee.
Well, there might be coffee in that milk at least.
Right, yeah. like the classic, you know, how do you fix super bitter coffee? It's like, well, you put more sugar and milk in it than coffee content, and boom, it's coffee milk. So, yeah, it's definitely one of those things. But, so we got a little bit on him. It paints an interesting picture, obviously, so we'll be probably getting drip fed more on him as the series goes on. But the major part of the episode was Jabber and Zonka's fight. Jabber was expecting Zonka to have a second gear, you know, kind of thing, you know, being able to go all out like he is with his instrument. Not the case because of the title of this episode. Zonka is the guy who's worked for his power and had a very Zoro from One Piece like flashback to the person that, you know, he like looks up to and is chasing kind of deal. She even had a sword. So is he just Zoro? Is that what this is?
Like I said, he comes off as more of a Chad to me, where like he's highly competent despite being a relatively average guy. But he just always ends up getting stuck against people who he has no right fighting and just ends up freaking taking losses all the time.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole series.
That very well could be the case. And we're talking about Chad from Bleach, not a Chad.
Yeah.
Well, let's clarify
Sato.
that. We're talking about Sato from Bleach. Well, let's just clear that up right now. We're not talking about a Chad like the term. That guy is a Chad. We're talking about Chad Sato from Bleach. So, just wanted to clear that one up in case anybody was wondering. But yes, so it's one of those things where Jabber's the guy with all the innate natural talent, and Zonka is the guy who's worked for everything situation. But
yeah.
Either way, it's kind of those are the characters that are usually pitted against each other. You know what I mean? That's like the classic matchup. You know, like fighter versus bruiser, or giant versus cruiserweight, to use WWE terms. You know what I mean? In the anime sphere, it's always, you know, the prodigy who is never wanted for anything versus the person who is worked for their power their whole life. Like Goku and Frieza. Frieza was born with all his power and then did like 5 push-ups and achieved his golden form, and then did 10 more push-ups and achieved his black form. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, Goku's over here struggling for his whole character arc of power, which
Yeah,
again,
it's not. You see this dynamic quite a bit, but it's not always necessarily villains or rivals. Like once again, Danmachi. That's the whole thing of like freaking Bell and Eyes. Is she always has to put in massive work to improve because her stack growths are horrible. Meanwhile, Bell freaking takes one trip into the dungeon and gets like 10 years worth of experience.
yeah, no problem. It's all about your stats. So, before you're born, check your stat sheet. Maybe that'll solve your problem, right? And before, it's just right there, and you could have just pulled it up on screen. It's just like, who put this here? Why are my default settings this? This is crap. Let me just readjust these sliders before I pop on out here. But yeah, so either way, fairly interesting sequences for what they were. And then we kind of got left on the whole, Zonka's dead for the second time situation.
Yeah.
But as Jabber points out, the three toxins were the gross ooze stuff, his paralyzing thing, and then the one that what did he call it? The one that you used to have
the one
fun?
that you use to have a good time.
Yeah, aka hallucinations. So we could probably safely assume here that Zonka could have potentially been hallucinating all of this since he parried with his teeth.
Yeah, it's either he's at least I'll say he's at least hallucinating the killing blow, but there's a reasonable chance that he was hallucinating that entire counterattack that he did from this point, because he's potentially already under the effects of one of his toxins from the teeth parry. Yeah. But we don't know if his finger claws are actually toxic in this form, or if it's just the giant claws.
Yep. So it will be interesting to see how that is handled, but I don't think he's dead. He's, once again, like Chad Sato, that just keeps coming back inexplicably. So he'll be fine. At bare minimum, he has to die at least one more time before he's dead for real. Because otherwise, what are you doing? So I'm not too concerned about him. One thing I will say about this whole encounter here is they did show off what you kind of have to do in this situation. If you're in Zonka's situation, you have to get up in their face. If somebody has a bigger weapon than you, you have to get in their face so they can't use its superior range and size. They can't swing it at their own feet. You know what I mean? So when he went and broke Jabber's ribs, it's because he finally got in close and was able to prevent him from using his weapon's superior size and reach. But you gotta do. You gotta get up in their face as much as you might not want to in the case of Zonka, who also has a weapon that relies on range and reach. So it is kind of a weird situation. But again, if you're fighting somebody like this, you gotta get up in their face.
Yeah, the other thing worth noting is that Jabber specifically comments about how part of the reason why he started suppressing is because he got so used to punching up that now that he's not punching up anymore, he's had to hold back in order to actually get any sort of thrill out of the fights.
Right.
Implying that there's a number of other people significantly stronger than him, and not just the boss.
Yeah.
Who he also named as one of them.
Right. So it is kind of interesting. We talked about the just how the world probably on the ground works. Is probably not every giver. We already know several givers are not fighters. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's not like it's not like one of those things. Like we had this discussion with My Hero Academia. Not every quirk is a combat quirk. You know what I mean? Even if you want it to be. So
sometimes all you do is glow.
Yeah, sometimes all you do is glow. And acquire 10 million followers. And then get RKO'd by some crazy asshole. So, yeah, it's just it's one of those things. But I think they're doing a good job with this. It pretty much happened with the Bundus thing. We were kind of in different places in this episode. We didn't get any engine, we didn't get any Rio, her fight, that kind of thing. But there's still all kinds of stuff going on. So I'd wager that this is going to be going on for the better part of the rest of the season. You know what I mean? Wrapping this up.
Yeah, I imagine this will be at least another 3 or 4 episodes, if not the rest of the season, save for like maybe the last 1 or 2 episodes being like the lead-in for season 2.
Right. Which I believe this was 25, so we still got a ways to go. That's 9 freaking episodes. But still, I'd wager to say bare minimum half of it, based on what's going on. Unless they just start resolving incredibly fast for some reason. Which, in these one-on-one situations, that's generally not the case. But if there's some, like, external factor that makes that happen, then you know what I mean.
Like Junta potentially RKOing Chthonic.
Yeah, something like that. So, we'll just have to see. But I like where this is going. This has been good. We pretty much speculated out everything we need to for all the fights that we kept possible info on. We don't know anything about the guy that Engine's fighting, except that he's like kind of like shy, and that's about it. That's not really helpful. we don't know what his vital instrument is or like what he's capable of, so we got nothing on him.
Yeah, as it stands right now, that's the one that we potentially just skip as a non-fight. Like something happens and stuff never actually happens on that front. Like Chthonic gets RKO'd and they manage to escape before that ever actually turns into a fight.
Yep.
But the Bundus fight is already starting. Frickin' Noirde, that fight's already started. This fight is presumably over. And we still haven't even started the Zodal fight yet.
Yep. So lots of stuff going on. I'm liking it. So that's all I really got for this week. Pretty much talked out everything that we possibly can at the moment as far as I'm concerned. You know, we could play the Where's Ammo game, but that's not really relevant at this point. So
I will say it's not very likely, but I was thinking about it more, and it is possible that it wasn't the Raiders that actually got Ammo. Because of the whole thing of she recognized the person. We don't actually know for sure that was the same chronology. Like, we don't know when she got abducted, if it was it was framed like it was immediately after they left. But we don't know 100% for sure that that's actually what happened. It could have been later. Also, I could also just be wrong and it's not Tomsy, and it could have just been the Angel came back while Tomsy was driving away with them. But once again, she recognized whoever it was, and we have no connection between her and the Raiders so far. So I'm saying, like, well, I don't think it's necessarily likely. It's possible that it was the Angel that abducted her and just left the boots behind for Jabber to find after the fact.
Right. So yeah, there's something. We'll just have to see. But anyway, that being said, people of YouTube beyond have you're watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And this was Gachiakuta, Season 1, Episode 16. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.